Welcome back. This is a Celtic State of Mind and Celtic Down Under, looking at Dundee United 0, Celtic 4. Now, Jared, before the game, the bold Monty on the comment section said Celtic would win 7-1. And we kind of had a little giggle at that. That was an astonishing first half performance, wasn't
it? Yes, and yes. The easiest way to sum it up is I thought there was a patch there where we got the early goal, which was required. There was a patch there where we got a bit sloppy. Our first touch and control, and that was a little out of whack. And then, Kyogo happened. And I said on our pod during the week as a joke, we'll win 6-0 and it'll be Giacomakis hat-trick. That was what I said. Well, wrong striker.
Exactly. When you think about Kyogo, and I know yourself, Liam, you have obviously seen him in Japan. You're a big fan of Maeda. I think Hatate's looked fantastic today as well. Kyogo's kind of gone about his business quietly this season, just racking up the goal tally. There's been a lot of talk about Giacomakis, maybe even bringing in another striker, particularly if Ajeti leaves the club for backup. But Kyogo's start to the season has been phenomenal, and he's kept that going today. Just a vintage first-half performance by him, isn't it?
Oh, I mean, that second goal, he looked as stunned as I did when the ball hit the net. It was the look on his wee face. It was a picture.
It was delightful.
Oh, just I mean, that's got to be a goal of the season contender already, hasn't it? I mean, really, that was just incredible.
The technique was astonishing. We've seen it so often from players like Kyogo and Jota, but that technique was just something completely out of a different kind of standard. I mean, I love players coming through and Celtic having a Scottish contingent, but sometimes you've got to buy that, haven't you? And that's what we've done with Kyogo.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him score goals like that before when he was at Kobe, but that was something special. Really was. And
I have
then,
to jump in here, Liam, and tell you something. Just to be honest, I'm sitting here. I'm like, oh yeah, half time's not far off. I better go to the toilet so that I can be on here at half time, no problem. Teeth aren't floating, and I come in the room and it's 2-0. So I missed that goal.
Oh dear.
Haven't even seen the replay yet, to be honest with you. But I've seen all the other goals. But yeah, I'll just put my hands up. Unfortunate.
I think in a performance like that, you're sitting looking at your notes, and often talking points can sometimes be of the kind of negative nature. I can't find too much negative about that first half. Not that I go looking, by the way. Joe Hart getting his head injury in the first couple of minutes of the game was another one of the moments. Was it not against Dundee United last season? Where we thought he was going to have to come off, and we had Bain as backup at that point. I've got to say, if Siegrist had to come in at that moment, I wouldn't have been as concerned as I was last season. But Hart's been so important for us. There's always that concern when he goes down with an injury. I'll throw that to you, Liam.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching the game with my dad over the phone as we were watching it, and we both talked about could it be a concussion? Could it be because Joe Hart was down for about 30 seconds. We actually thought, has he been knocked out? But as soon as he sat up, I looked at his face and God rest the guy's soul. But I remember when Fernando Rickson got that really nasty concussive injury in Europe one time, and he had you could see his eyes were just completely gone. But Joe Hart sat up and he looked bright and clear, and I thought, right, he's no concussed, so whatever it is, it's just a flesh wound. He'll be all right. And that was a great relief. But even then, it took, about 6 or 7 minutes to stop the bleeding, didn't it?
Yeah, big staples.
Yeah.
The staple gun, absolutely. I definitely want to bring in the commenters on an afternoon like this when Celtic have been a joy to watch. First time passing in particular, you look at the likes of O'Reilly, Jota, Abada, the way that they're able to carve open defences because they seem to be one step ahead, Jared. And it looks as though that sharpness that maybe was with some of the squad last season, and then we've had arrivals kind of later on in the season. talking about firing on all cylinders, that's Angie's, and I'm not going to call it Ange Ball, but that's Angie's game plan really clicking in with that amount of players, with the first time passing. It's an incredible game to watch, but it's very, very difficult for a team to play against, isn't it?
Oh, it's great to watch, and yes, that is the football that we've been talking about for the last year, a little over a year when Ange was first appointed. I'm like, that's the sort of thing. It's not just the quick one touch passing within the lines, in the pockets around the box. It's those diagonal balls across that we're seeing. Like we saw that for the first goal, where you had Hatade with the flick on into Abada for that diagonal ball out wide. Like, that also unlocks defenses. So you can do it long range, you can do it short range. It's quick passing and it's no mucking around, just get on with it. So it's good to see. Aggressive football, and it's a joy to watch. And I'm so glad it's at my club again.
Yeah, is that what we were talking about before the game, Jared, when we were talking about Hatate coming in for Turnbull? Is that where maybe Turnbull, I'm not going to say struggles, but that's where it slows down a little bit?
Yeah, that's that one-touch football that I was talking about with him, where I think he can go through patches. It's not a whole 90 minutes. It's maybe 2 minutes here, 5 minutes there, where he does that, and it slows things down. And then he probably gets a bit of a rocket from the sideline or a look, and he just feels the daggers in the back of his head, and he's like, we better speed things up a bit here. But yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, because it's not natural to him. Got to say thank you to everybody for tuning in. We're about 1,000 strong, which is incredible. We're streaming on Celtic Down Under's Twitter and Axom's YouTube page. So thanks everybody for getting involved. And Paul comes in, Paul McLean, Abada's ball to Jota for the first goal. McStay-esque. McStay, I mean, when you seen him in full flight at his absolute peak, he was one of the absolute best, and it's I think it's testament to the Celtic side right now that we're even mentioning McStay-esque kind of passes, because that has been a joy to watch in the first half. Francisco Wildanino tipped Kyogo for 3 today, 1 to go. Well, you've tuned in just before he scored his hat-trick. I hope you had a few quid on that, Francie, as well. You and Boy Martin, obviously, just tuned in as Kyogo scored his hat-trick. Now, here's one. I'm going to throw this out because, we're sitting here absolutely delighted with 4-0. We're going for 7-1 to see if Monty might win a few quid. But John Boy 67, as always, the Celtic defence is all over the shop, but Kyogo is class. O'Reilly's recovery tackle was incredible. I mean, in terms of the defence, I do have one moment where I think it was Middleton's shot, where Juranovic has been dispossessed, but I think it was a bad pass by Starfelt. But other than that, do you think we've been that poor at the back, Jared, in that first half?
I think, in general, people need to lay off Starfelt. Let's be honest here. It's his first game starting back this season. He's got to get up to speed. He's always had that little bit of, he's playing out of position. He's actually a right-footed centre-back playing left. But yes, he did underhit that pass that you were talking about, Paul. But overall, the job he's been doing against Fletcher in the air has, in my opinion, has been great. I don't see a problem with it. He's been making him battle it to a 50-50 or worse for him and actually get where clearing the ball. So I don't really see such a big issue. You've got Carter Vickers back there covering it. I think it's got more to do with when we're trying to pass the ball out from the centre-backs, the midfielders are on their heels.
Mm. Yeah. That competitive edge that Starfelt's had in that first half with Fletcher, I mean, Fletcher does that so well. I know he is in the kind of twilight of his career, Liam. We spoke about him before the game. But he would give anybody in Scotland a game playing like that. And I think, to be fair to him, like Jared says, I think Starfelt's done pretty well against Fletcher. One kind of short pass, Juranovic being maybe a little bit slow rather to react to it. But I'm loath to criticise Celtic and the defence in that first half. Yeah,
I mean the thing is, like, people often say, see, when a team are like 3 or 4-0 up, or they're well in control of a game, sometimes people express concern for the goalkeeper. Like you say, the keeper made a good save, and that's especially good when you think he's not had anything to do. Well, I think that to a certain extent applies to the defence as well. When you are almost entirely 75% plus possession, all out attack, 4 goals by half time, your defence isn't going to have that much to do. So you can maybe forgive them for being a wee bit dozy when they do have the ball. And, at the end of the day, we got away with it.
Exactly. And then you look at Taylor, I think we're 6 or 7 minutes deep into injury time and he's racing over to take a quick corner. So, like you say, the defenders are still trying to maintain that intensity. David Bradley is commenting on the YouTube, it's a joy to watch. It absolutely is. There was a comment earlier on. It was the first time they've tuned in today and they were enjoying it as well. So great, thanks to have you. Great to have you, Michael Cunningham. Like watching Glasgow Celtic turning on the style. Yeah, absolutely. And relentless is the way to describe Celtic in that first half. Joe Fulham, though. I'll often sit at half time in a game where you've completely dominated and you've got a few goals on the score sheet already. Need to keep going in the second half. What do you do at half time, Jared? If you're sitting there and your Ange Postecoglou, you're 4-0 up, you are maybe looking at a 6, 7, 8 kind of route. Doesn't always happen in the second half. So what do you do at half time?
Depends. There's probably 2 or 3 different paths you can go down. You look at it and go, okay, do you try and get some guys off and get some other guys in, give Bernabei a debut, give Ralston some minutes, give Moy some more football and give Kalmack a breather. Do you do that sort of stuff to get a bit more run into guys as we're starting to step into 2 games a week going forward from this week coming onwards? Do we look at it that way? Do we look at it and go, well, we're about to go into the Champions League in a couple of weeks, starting off with Real Madrid. So do we say to the boys, all right, we don't stop, let's go again, it's 0-0, let's go and win this half and push on. And you push them to try and get a 90-minute performance of that level which we just had in the first game. They're your options you got to look at. For me, I'd be happy with either. I'd actually prefer the second one though. Like, let's just push on and go.
And do a Liverpool, as Joe was saying there. I'm going to pull this up because I'm a wee bit confused. Abada getting criticised only on Axom, rather. We've not even mentioned Abada, so I don't know if there's maybe some chat in the comments field, but we've certainly not criticised Abada. I thought, before the game, we spoke about his introduction. Maeda's one of Liam's favourite players, but we spoke about the introduction of Abada. I think he's had a cracking first half, and he's been part of that intensity, Liam, up top, isn't he?
Yeah, he's been excellent. I mean, the whole front line, he's been excellent. But yeah, Abada's link-up play has been great. His running's been great. He's done everything that you would need and more. I think it's hard in a game like this where we're so dominant. It's difficult to pick out a man of the match, but you've got to say Abada has not done anything wrong. So yeah.
I know. I don't know if there's maybe been conversations we're not being party to. In the comments section, perhaps, it looks as though the second half's about to kick off. But there's been no criticism of Abada here, that's for sure. Cammy Boy, Hatate running our midfield today. It has been tremendous. And the thing with him, Jared, as well, is he's not scared to take a risk with a pass. He'll play a pass that if it doesn't come off, we're going to lose possession. But more often than not, he creates an opportunity and he can turn defence into attack as well. I think that for the price we've paid for Hatate, he's been one of the finest bits of business Andrew's actually done since he came to the club. Yeah,
for me, Hatate is our best player of the game. And the thing for me, there was one point where Juranovic has got the ball right back. He's underhit a ball. It's come across as a guy was pressuring. I think it was Middleton. And of all the ways to Hatate to take the ball, instead of getting it and turning away from that, he's just touched it with his right foot across where Middleton's running past, and he's just gone and pushed it back up the wing, back to Juranovic. And to me, like, the composure to do that, when if you mistimed it, it's going to be a one-on-one with the keeper. It shows what a class operator he is.
Oh, yes, absolutely class. Tony is hoping that Ange goes full throttle. I'd love to see it, Tony. I remember being at the Aberdeen game where we beat them 9-0. I've got no sympathy for the opposition. I'm sorry. I'm very selfish as a Celtic fan. I want 8, I want 9, 100%. Joseph McGonigal, 1,000 watching, 24 likes. Yeah, like the video. Vote for us. There's a wee link underneath if you want to ask someone to go down to Manchester and win a trophy. Obviously, Liam and Jared will be invited. I'm not sure if they'll be able to attend if we get into the final, but it's been a brilliant first half. No complaints here from the Axom team. We will be back at full time, hopefully to talk about a few more goals. Thanks everybody for getting involved in the comments section, and thank you to Jared and Liam from Celtic Down Under for joining us again on A Celtic State of Mind.